Welcome to How to Own Your Day. I'm Tburrier, and in this video, I'm going to show you what I consider to be the ultimate morning routine. And the key to that is that it's going to allow you to take control of your day and make each day a success. And it's not hard to extrapolate from that if each day is a success, well, the rest will kind of take care of itself. So this video is going to help you to reduce stress, increase your productivity, increase your energy, be more confident, be more focused and positive, and maybe most important, get centered. Some people might call that grounded. I call it centered. But first, let me take a quick minute to introduce myself. That's me right there with two of my best friends. The collie is Duffy, and the little white crazy monster who I just love to death. I love them both to death, but that's Scout. These are two of my faithful companions. I've also been married to 32 years to an amazing woman. I have two adult children. I live in North Carolina for the last few years on a beautiful river. But anyway, that's just a little bit of that kind of stuff for you. From a professional perspective, I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. And also in that time, I've authored several books, including 3 Circles Living, Achieving Your Richest Life Possible, which is a book that has gotten tremendous reviews and really helped a lot of people. I may touch a little bit on that as we go, as that is, it's central to practically everything that I teach. I am a coach. I coach entrepreneurs, upper level management for companies, traditional business owners, home business leaders, a variety of people in different genres, all focused for business. I don't specifically do life coaching, although that does become part of it, but I'm more centered on the productivity side of things for people. And I'm also a speaker and trainer. I do keynotes, and I train companies, small and very large companies. I train their leadership and their management to be more effective in their communication and in their productivity and in leading their teams, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a little bit about, some of my backdrop during this last really 30 years, 20 years or so, 20 to 25 years doing the coach, speaker, trainer stuff and the author stuff, maybe 20 years. But during that time, I've helped people all over the world to do better in life. And everything that I do is centered on the idea of helping someone to become their best self, because that is how they can make their best contribution for the greater good, essentially, right? We're all here to make a contribution, right? We're not here just to suck up a bunch of goods and services and then vanish. We're here to make the only unique difference that only we can make. And what's mind-boggling to me is that as a younger man, I never could have imagined that this would be describing, what I do and what I've been doing. You see, I was a train wreck, an absolute train wreck for really the first, not quite half of my life now, because I'm almost 60 as I record this, but my first 28 years, definitely, I was a train wreck. I come from absolutely no money. I struggled tremendously with introversion and very poor self-esteem. I also am wired to have anxiety and depression way more often than not. And really, all that soup, so to speak, led me to be quite a quitter and have pretty much a victim mentality for a long time in my life. And then I turned it around. And now that's a whole nother story. So I'm not going to get into how I turned that around, because I share that on stage. I share that in my books, etc. But I will say that one of the key factors in helping to turn my life around was the morning routine, which is why I'm so passionate about how important this is. And again, I talked about centering. For me, I wake up more often than not, and I mean significantly more often than not, like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Oh, woe is me. I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have to even get up? I feel awful. I feel off about myself. I feel off about, the prospects of my life. And I have an amazing life, but that doesn't matter. And those of you who understand what I'm talking about, you clearly know what I mean. And then there's once in a while, I'll wake up like Tigger, and that's pretty cool, and I really appreciate that. But the bottom line is, you cannot, and I could not, base my life on how I felt when I woke up in the morning. Right? I couldn't base it on on my emotional state based on my chemical wiring, and neither should anyone else, really, because you have to be productive. You've got to take action in life. And so you can't just do stuff when you feel like it, because for a lot of people, and me included, that wouldn't be very often. And so I used the morning routine to get centered, right? So that within a period of time, I showed up the same way every day. And that's really important because I serve a lot of people. And, you know, attitude is one of the most contagious things on the planet. And so it was very integral in me shifting to a proactive approach to life. And that's really what this is about. And then that's led to an absolutely extraordinary life. And the bottom line is that anyone can do it, but you have to be purposeful, and you also have to maybe tweak your mindset a little bit. So that's what I want to talk about here for just a minute before I get you to the routine. So the first thing, and by the way, on the right side, that is the cover of 3 Circles Living, Achieving Your Richest Life Possible. That book really will make a huge difference in your life. Just saying, because it's an unbelievable way to live. It just makes choices pretty simple, and it makes your outcomes pretty easy to achieve a really good state of being and productivity. So first of the mindset tweaks, you're worth it. You know, and a morning routine is an investment in yourself, and regardless of what you might tell yourself. And I know that there's a really high probability that, you know, you don't think so highly of yourself. You know, the world has done a great job of pointing out what you're not. And you've done a pretty good job of looking in the mirror and beating yourself up for what you haven't done and what you're not good at. And when the reality is that you know, you are unique, right? You are perfectly designed to be exactly you. You have your own unique blend of gifts and skills and abilities and talents and affinities and passions and knowledge and experience. That's all uniquely you, right? You've got your own fingerprint, for heaven's sake, which makes you rare, right? That's just the truth. Only you can make the specific contribution in this world in the way you make it. That doesn't mean you're supposed to be famous. Doesn't mean you're supposed to be mega rich. That's not what this is about. This is about, we are all designed to fit together. That's why everybody's different, right? That's just the reality of it. And so you are unique, which means you are rare. And guess what? Things that are rare are valuable. So you are valuable. You are worth investing in. The second mindset hack that you got to really work on here is that you first, because this is about putting you first, is not selfish. That may seem extremely counterintuitive, but you have to think about it in the greater context, right? There are people that you serve. Maybe you have a family, and maybe you're in a position in your workplace where you are working with the public or working with people. You are serving lots of people. And if you don't show up in the best way possible, A, for the people you love, and B, for the people you serve, who is the disservice happening to? Does that make sense? So you first is not selfish. That's part of the philosophy of the 3 Circles Living platform, is that you taking care of yourself allows you to show up the best possible for the people you care about. And when you show up the best possible for the people you care about, not only do you feel good because you're taking care of you, but you show up for them in a way that allows them to know you care about them, where you can give them time, you can give them attention, which are what people that matter in your life really care about from you. And then that leads to you being joyful. And then you take that into the workplace or into your cause or into your purpose or wherever you are in your life, and you are magnetic. You're magnetic because people want to be around people who are energetic. They want to be around people who have joy and fulfillment. And then there's a little bit more to it, right? That's very surfacey what I just gave you. But the bottom line is, when you take care of yourself first, you are better able to show up. I know it's rote to say, you know, what the flight attendants say makes sense in real life, right? Put your mask on first before you try to help the person next to you. You got to take care of you first. That's this mindset tweak. It's really important to get. And man, and take it from someone who has done this for a long time. It really makes a massive difference in your life. Massive. And then the third little mindset tweak is, the more proactive you are in your life, the less reactive you'll be. And man, the difference between proactive and reactive as a way of life are like different universes. People who live their life reactively, massive stress, massive crisis, massive health issues, massive struggle. Hey, life is going to be a struggle no matter how good it is for you. That's the nature of life, right? But man, when you're living in reaction, you're totally out of control. When you're living in proactivity, it's an entirely different ballgame. Does that mean things don't happen? Of course not. Stuff happens to everybody, no matter who they are or how good they have it. But when you're proactive, you are in a situation, you are creating a scenario where A, you inflict less crisis on yourself, and B, when you are become part, because you live in an interdependent world, when you become part of someone else's crisis, maybe in your family or in the workplace or whatever, you are better able to respond. Very, very simple philosophy, but actually very powerful philosophy. These three mindset tweaks make a big, big difference alone. If you got nothing else from this, this will help you. So the morning routine proactive keys. Number one, physical health care. Again, you only have one body. It's the only place you get to live. If you don't take care of that, you won't be able to do well in your job. You won't be able to do well in your business. You won't be able to show up for the people you love. You won't get to play with your kids. You won't get to play with your grandkids. You won't get to do the things that bring you joy, right? That's just the truth, right? You have to there's nothing more important than taking care of your physical self. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can't be the best for anything and anywhere at any time in your life if this isn't working. So obviously that's going to be a big piece. Next is going to be the mental health care. Why? Well, I guess that almost goes without saying. If you can show up physically well, but you're completely whacked out, well, that's not very good, right? Now you're just an energized lunatic. You got to take care of yourself emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, developmentally. There's so much to taking care of. So the health circle, by the way, and the 3 circles living is all of this, right? Because this is all where all that good stuff comes, so that you're showing up as a whole person who is vibrant and in good state of being, right? And this is hugely, hugely important. And it doesn't happen by accident, because you live in a world that is constantly, not only physically are you getting bombed with toxins, but mentally you're getting bombed with toxins, right? Everywhere you turn, from social media to your television, to your computer, to the news outlets, whatever, you are getting toxicity thrown at you all the time. You got to fight back. You can't just sit there and let people pour garbage into your head. You have to put good stuff into you. You have to say, hey, I have to take care of me so I can serve the world and the people I love. And part of that is not just protecting my state of mind, but it's developing it. And so obviously a big part. And then the third is productivity multiplier, which is really cool. I mean, this is huge. The first 2 things, by the way, will automatically make you more productive, right? When you are physically energized. Look, like I said, I'm almost 60 as I record this. Just being real, I'm not Superman. My genetics are not very good. My father died when he was 48. My brother died when he was 42. So I'm way beyond that. And all the men in my, above those, right? The grands, and I didn't live very long either, So I've been very purposeful about this. But the bottom line is I can run circles around a lot of younger people who aren't doing this, right? Which, talk about productivity, right? It's about being productive, not just each day, but longer in your life. But it starts with each day, right? And so, but it's not just being productive physically and because you're in a good physical space or mental or emotional space. It's also being productive because you're working on the right things. And so you'll see what I mean as we go through the flow. So I'm going to take you through my flow, the exact way that I do it. That doesn't mean it's going to be exactly how you do it. We'll come back and talk about that in just a minute. And I'll break it down after I share the flow. But this is essentially my morning routine. And I'll take out things like walking my dog or, walking my dogs and feeding my dogs and stuff like that, and just give you the crux, the most important things that you have to have. So the first thing that I do when I get up, for me, right, it's part of me first, not selfish, is I sit quietly. I sit quietly and I do my spiritual time and reflection. Right? Might have some water, of course, and some coffee. Obviously, got to have water right away and coffee right. You know, I like coffee. You don't have to have coffee, but I'm just saying that's what I do. And then part of that is also being thankful, right? And thinking about, and you know, and I pray. So that's my choice. You can, whatever it is for you, you do. But and I'm grateful, right, for all the positive things in my life. I talk a lot about this in the book, by the way, because there's so much. And bottom line is you can't be grateful and negative at the same time. You just can't. And so gratitude, quiet reflection, spiritual time all takes place in, you know, maybe this is 10, 15, 20 minutes, depends on the day. And then I power up my body with a bunch of nutrients and I work out. I go to work out. And on my way to work out, I am putting positive stuff in my brain from what I'm listening to. So I may be listening to developmental speakers or something uplifting, right? So that's putting positive stuff in my mind, not listening to news, not listening to the latest train wreck of something that they want to, you know, really sensationalize. I'm not doing that. I'm putting good stuff in my mind. I'm not allowing anybody or anything else to impact my mind at this point. And then during my exercise, you know, part of my exercise routine 6 days a week is aerobic exercise. I mean, and for me, it's riding an exercise bike. You know, you can, and again, you can toggle these in different ways for yourself. We'll talk about that in a moment. And so I don't really like aerobic exercise. I've been doing it for 33 years now, but I don't like it. I do it because I wouldn't like the result of not doing it more. Right? I wouldn't like the result of having a broken down body and not being able to run up a flight of steps, right? I wouldn't like the result of not being able to play with my dogs or, you know, my children when they come to visit, and soon their grandchildren, my grandchildren, etc. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like, you know, shortening my life and reducing my productivity. So I do it anyway. And since I'm going to be personal development oriented, I read. So I'm reading the entire time I'm doing aerobic exercise, which for me at this point is 30 to 35 minutes a day. And then after that, I come home and I power up with some more nutrients. And then I do my planning, a little bit of journaling, and my affirmations and what I call affirmations, which is something I learned from a pretty cool book that I read. And so that is my morning flow. That's what gets me completely centered, right? And so I'm going to show up the same way pretty much for everybody on the planet every single day, right? Almost no one, until they hear me say or talk about, you know, my esteem issues or my chemical imbalances, or anything. Most people are like, what? You gotta be kidding me. You seem like the most positive person. You're always upbeat. You're always, they don't understand, right? That I have to work for that, right? Because I take it as a responsibility. I believe we have a responsibility to show up the right way. That's my belief. I'm not trying to make someone else believe that. That's just what I believe in, and that's what I do, and that's how it's worked. And so let me break down these components and the impact for you so that you have some understanding about how to put together your own routine. So the physical part is relatively simple. You got to stay hydrated. Very, very important. You should drink water immediately when you get up because you haven't put water in your body for several hours and you don't store water. Right? It's one of the most important things you can get, right? If you're out in the desert, you're not going to be thinking about where's the next hamburger stand. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, can I get a glass of water? Because you'll die relatively fast without water because your body can't store it, and it's used in so many things. Right? It's used in every chemical reaction in your body. And so you want to hydrate immediately when you get up. And then obviously the nutrients in the exercise. Your whole body runs on nutrients. You've got a set of foundational nutrients. Forget, you know, all the magic stuff out in the world. You need to get basic nutrition, right? All the key vitamins and minerals and fiber and probiotics and the stuff that your body uses to run. You got to get that stuff. And so put it in right away, right? Put it in right away. And then exercise goes without saying. If you don't move it, you're going to lose it. Period. And if you do move it, not only will you not lose it very fast, But man, the rest of your life is awesome because you can engage in life. And so obviously the physical piece makes sense. Next is the mental part. All right. So there's a lot of little pieces here that I'll run through quickly for you. One, quiet reflection. Man, peacefulness is important. Peace is hard for me anyway. So I have to be purposeful about it because of the anxiety issues. But quiet reflection is amazing. So my journal is actually with me multiple times. So I'm using my journal here when I'm doing quiet reflection in case I have something comes into my mind or I want to write about something. And then my spiritual time, you know, I'm reading the Bible. Some people are, you know, reading the Quran or reading whatever they read, right? Or doing whatever they believe in, and that's okay. Whatever you believe in, you got to practice it, right? And you got to immerse yourself in it because it's part of the peacefulness. The beautiful thing about spirituality is almost everything in the world that's relative to spirituality is about treating people right and, you know, operating with integrity and, right? I mean, it's fundamental. It's all reflective of the fundamentals. And then the gratitude thing, and I mentioned briefly, it's hard to be negative and be grateful at the same time. But you have to be purposefully grateful because it's very easy to not think about just how good you have it. And because the world wants you to think, hey, you don't have enough of the right stuff, or you're not doing well enough, or right. That's what the world wants you to think. But the bottom line is, right, you have tremendous amount to be grateful for, right? If you have, I mean, heck, you think about any part of your body that you have, you'd be pretty upset if you didn't have it. But I bet you don't think about how grateful you are that you do. But thinking about the people in your life, the people that love you, you know, the ability to live in a country that, you know, you're in a developed nation if you're, you know, partaking in this, and which means you have access to so many things. You don't really, food is not an issue for you, a roof over your head, right? All kinds of entertainment, the opportunity, the freedom to do what you want to do, whether you choose it or not, right? I mean, there's so much to be grateful for. And when you come from that place, then you're operating from a place of abundance already. You're not operating from a place of lack or of scarcity. What a different way to show up in the world. So that's a purposeful thing. And then personal development and professional development. I talked about the reading, right? That's what that is, right? So the spiritual is one side, and then the rest is the personal and professional development, because you're blessed with all these skills and abilities and affinities. Yet most of the things that would help you really utilize who you actually are, you're not taught. Right? And matter of fact, you might not even be aware of. And so very, very important to be purposeful about doing that. And so boom, I changed my life through this, right? I mean, literally I read thousands of books in these 35 minutes a day over the last 30 years. Think about that, and which has made a massive difference in how my life has turned out, right? So that piece fits in here. And then lens management is about your attitude, right? I mean, which is unbelievably infectious. It is one of the most contagious things in the world is an attitude. And so the way you show up, the attitude you have is going to be representative of your lens. And your lens is how you're seeing the world, how you're experiencing life in this moment. And so this is getting you centered so that you are experiencing it in the right way. You're coming from an abundance perspective. You're growing yourself. You're feeling good about yourself. You're feeling good about your possibilities. You're feeling good about how your life is while you go out and try to make a difference or try to accomplish something or try to serve someone or, you know, go after your goals or whatever it is, right? So that's the mental part that's happening. And then the productivity part. So the planning part, massive. Most people do not plan, which is a gigantic hole in their boat. If you don't plan, bottom line is most of your life is in reaction. And if your life is in reaction, it's not very fun, period. I mean, that's really one of the simplest things possible. Of course, I teach planning in every facet of the things that I teach. There's a late chapter on it in the 3 Circles Living book. But planning is huge. I mean, it's a massive productivity booster because it makes sure you're doing the right things and at the right time and working in your priorities and doing the things that matter, which makes you massively more productive. You're not wasting time trying to figure out what to do or just reacting to the world. Next, energy management, right? So doing the physical and the mental part is definitely managing and strengthening your physical and emotional energy. You need both, right? You need both of them. Matter of fact, most of your day is emotional energy That's what you're putting out. If you're not managing and going to the well and filling yourself up, it's not going to be very good, and you will burn out. You will run out and burn out. And then journaling. Journaling is just such an awesome thing to do. And so by journaling, you're able to capture ideas, capture moments in time, capture experiences, solve problems, work out problems, and make decisions. I mean, most of the highly successful people that I know journal. Why? Because it works. It helps. And so these are all the components that create the impact, right? So when you are putting together your flow, because my flow is designed based around my lifestyle. When I first started this years and years ago, it was a little bit less time because that's what I was working with. But, I've worked for myself in my bare feet for over 30 years. Yes, I do wear shoes when I go speak to a group. But most of the time I work from home, and then I'll go to a gym to get out. But my flow is designed around my lifestyle. You have to design yours around your lifestyle. One size does not fit all in anything in life, right? That's just the truth. And so you have to create it to fit you. It's just important for you to have the components. So here's the components to include: exercise, nutrients and water, reflection and journaling, reading, listening, spiritual affirmations, and gratitude. If you put these things together, and I'll give you one other little nugget. I mentioned affirmations before. Affirmations are where you are affirming something that you're trying to become or that you are, right? That's an affirmation. It's a statement. Affirmations I learned from Ryan Holiday, who writes some really great books. An affirmation is a question. See, your brain is designed to work on questions. It likes questions. It seeks the answer. And so you ask yourself questions. Like one of my questions that I ask every day is, who will I serve today? Who will I serve today? Who will I serve today? And then my brain is constantly working on that, right? What cool things will happen today? My brain is constantly looking for that, right? Those are affirmations, right? So your brain doesn't refute questions. It just tries to solve them. It sometimes refutes in affirmations. If you affirm, hey, I'm awesome, and you don't feel awesome, your brain is, the little guy on the one shoulder with the dark hat's going to go, you're not awesome. You know what I'm talking about. But there's benefit to both, and so I do both. So these are the components to include in your flow. And then create your plan and implement it. Right? Create your plan and implement it, and you are going to begin to immediately notice the difference. I'm talking immediately. You'll notice how you feel differently the very first day you do this. You will notice it. But over 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2, 3, 4, you'll start to see not only how you are showing up better every day, you will start to notice, oh my gosh, the results in my overall life have changed dramatically in the last 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. It's powerful. Remember, to have a successful life, you just got to string together successful days. And being proactive and doing the right things and putting the first things first, that's how you do it. I know this is going to help you. It's changed my life. It's helped tons of people. This is the first time I've ever put it out here for people to learn specifically. Yes, my coaching clients I've worked with and taught, and some of my coursework where I've worked with groups, I've taught some of this, but this is the first time I've made this available for anyone. It'll help you a tremendous amount. Before you go, if you're really focused on achieving your richest life possible, stay tuned. We've got a special offer for you.